right. Also, in that interview with Chris Van Vliet, Paul Heyman also talked about Paul Heyman guys and the stigma behind them. So, if you guys do not remember, in 2014, there were some new recruits of Paul Heyman guys. One would be Antonio. Well, one would be Cesaro, and also another one in 2013 would be Curtis Axel. Curtis Axel is the son of WWE Hall of Famer Mr. Perfect. And he would also be a Paul Heyman guy, and Paul Heyman would also lead him to the Intercontinental Championship in 2013 as well. And Paul Heyman guys, they always got a label on them. And Paul Heyman also sat down to discuss the idea of Paul Heyman guys in that interview with Chris Van Vliet. Fair use. Bear with me, guys. I'm going to have to edit this out. Close my tab by mistake. All right, guys, I got it.
Everyone. I remember John Cena worked with him on television and came back and looked at Vince and said, I could main event WrestleMania with. And probably could have and should have. Cesaro was placed in that position the day after Brock Lesnar conquered the streak, so that when Brock took his hiatus, I had an excuse to be on television to say, my client, Brock Lesnar, conquered The Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania. And you needed an excuse to have me out there on television. And if you put me on commentary, I can't say it for 2 or 3 hours. I have to say it with impact. Once a week. Just drill that into your head. Reinforcement, repetition, 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 repetition. And so Cesaro became the excuse
to see you.
To see me say the line.
Yeah.
Curtis Axel was cast as Paul Heyman guy. Generic Paul Heyman guy.
He was.
You may as well have put a mask on him and call him.
When it comes to Curtis Axel, a lot of people might forget that Curtis Axel was maybe the most random Paul Heyman guy. Curtis Axel, he was fresh out of the new Nexus, and when that's essentially wasn't really doing anything. And when he got introduced as a Paul Heyman guy, they kind of give him a mini push. You know, he won the IC title and had a small run with it, but he never had the aura of Paul Heyman guy. So when Paul Heyman says he's generic, that's pretty much as generic as it can get. Continue.
Mad Russian, Mr. X, the assassin, the punk destroyer, so that we could feed the babyface CM Punk. And that's a shame for Curtis Axel, because he had a lot more to offer, but he delivered in those matches with Punk, and that was the assignment. And once that assignment was over, there was no plan to propel him further, and he didn't have the cachet to go in and pitch for something that would continue the momentum coming out of that program.
So there wasn't a long-term plan for either of those guys.
I don't believe so. If there was, I was never clued in on it. When I was told I was getting Curtis Axel, my question was, what are we doing with this? And Vince's answer was going all the way to the top. I don't think Vince really felt that about him. And I could tell by the third week I was with Cesaro, oh, I understand what we're doing here. I get it. I see this, how this is going to play out. As soon as Brock is back, this is going to get discarded.
Because if Cesaro had any weakness. Maybe it's his promos aren't strong enough. Pair him with Paul Heyman. Oh my gosh, he's unstoppable.
See, but I think Cesaro was fascinating on the microphone if he were to be given the opportunity to demonstrate his skills. The man spoke 5 languages fluently.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people do that. Again, I'm a cinemaphile. Watching Glorious Bastards, watch Christoph Waltz, and when he does the scene,
at the beginning,
he speaks German.
Yeah.
Well, he speaks German, in the movie. He speaks English in the movie, and then Brad Pitt's crew are all speaking in Italian. Dominic De Chico, Gorlami, and then all of a sudden, Waltz comes in with, and he starts speaking in this operatic tone in fluent Italian, and you sit there and go, oh my God, look at this. If Cesaro was given the opportunity to answer every question in a different language, you'd have seen a side of his personality, because he will put emphasis in the dialect, and you will see his mannerisms match the dialect that he's presenting. So I think Cesaro could have been a fascinating promo if he was given the chance to do that in WWE. He wasn't. And that's our fault. That is a major fumble. That was a crime that was committed against the career of Cesaro, and a crime that was committed against the audience for not allowing this gifted performer to do what, at the time, certainly he could do better than most anybody else on the face of the planet. And by the way, when you realize what he's capable of, what an opponent he could have been for Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Had I turned on Cesaro,
right,
and we built him up to be a threat to Brock, the matches the two of them could have had are mind-boggling. A tremendously wasted opportunity. And
all right, so that was Paul Heyman about the other Paul Heyman guys, and I am 100% in agreement with Paul Heyman when it comes to Cesaro. Cesaro, he was a very interesting person in WWE. They were paired together the night after WrestleMania 30, where Cesaro won the inaugural Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And we saw those guys together. We was like, okay, we buy this guy as a Paul Heyman guy. We buy these two actually together. And people were like, okay, maybe one day we'll get him against Brock, because Cesaro is a guy that you could put in the ring with anybody and magic would happen. Heyman said in the top of the interview that John Cena will always vouch for him backstage with Vince, and Cesaro was definitely 100% a fan favorite, especially from a ring perspective. He was always a favorite of the fans that actually watched it, no matter who he was facing. The Cesaro swing was 100% over. And like I said, in 2014, that might have been peak Cesaro hype in WWE, especially immediately him being after a Paul Heyman guy. But we also did know that nobody is trumping Brock Lesnar when it comes to Paul Heyman. So let me know what you guys think in the comments about Cesaro and Curtis Axel and other Paul Heyman guys that failed in the past. So let me know what you guys think in the comments.